When he grew near to her, but not so near that he couldn't run, he lay down and looked up at her. She waited a moment longer. Then she carefully opened the book, and softly she began to speak. "There once was a sailor," she read, "who had to travel for many years over the sea before he could return home." The bear gazed up at her as she said the words and turned the pages. He couldn't understand any of what she was saying, but as he listened to the sound of her voice, happiness washed over him like waves. He returned day after day all that summer. When she read in a fearful voice about the sailor getting lost, he felt afraid. When she laughed at how the sailor played tricks, the bear would feel strangely happy. When she read of his love, the bear looked up at the woman with wide eyes and watched as her gentle mouth formed the words. All the words she read made a story for her bear. Whenever she read, he felt the waves of mysterious feelings carried by her voice. Sometimes her voice was soothing, and the bear grew peaceful. And sometimes she sounded excited or scared, and his hair bristled, and he gave a low growl. And sometimes her sounds were tender, and he looked up at her and watched her fingers gently lifting a page and a page and a page. These feelings often stayed inside of him as he lumbered back to his world at the end of the day. And sometimes, in the babbling of a brook, he would think he heard her again and become quite happy. One afternoon, when he returned to the cabin, there was a chill in the air. She put down her book, looked at the bear, and said, I wish you could read these books when I'm away for the winter." Then she smiled at him, and the bear, seeing her smile, felt lightness in his heart. And she began to read aloud again. When next he came, he was carrying something in his mouth. It was the scrap of paper from his cave, with its mysterious marks. He laid it by her books. "Bear?" she said. He knew by now that this was her word for him, and he lifted his head. "Bear, did you bring this for me?" And then she read it in her gentle voice, as if it were a story he was giving to her. "Dear Eliza, your father and I have been cheered by your letter. We picture you often living near the woods where we summered. I remember days of berry picking and golden light shining through tall trees." When the bear next returned, the leaves were changing color. When he reached the cabin, he saw what had changed there as well. She was not in her usual place, waiting for him. The bear walked into her yard, taking a few steps and moving his big head from side to side. He walked this way up to where her chair had been. There, under the tree where she usually sat, were her books. There were many of them, more than he had ever seen, lying on a cloth, fallen leaves and pine cones on their covers. She had left them for him, along with a piece of paper, as if she'd wished he could read it. "For my bear." He looked at what she'd left him with his big head close. He understood that she had gone, as silence surrounded him. Then, tenderly as he could, he put his teeth around the book with the brown cover and carried it away. All that afternoon, he made the long journey from his winter cave to her yard and back again through the forest, carrying her books with their covers of green and red and black, their words of sailors and goddesses and far-off lands, while the stream whispered and the blue jays called. That night, as the moon rose like a white page with mysterious marks, he lay among the hard covers of her books. Finally, he slept, and while he slept, he heard her voice, gentle and near. She was telling him a tale of adventure and magic and love. And all that winter, before she came back in the spring, whenever he put his nose to the pages or touched the covers with his